Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of this season of All Access with the Profs. I'm Jay Clark, joined alongside my co-host, Leo West. And even though the weather is getting colder, these Prof teams seem to keep heating up.
No, that is very true, Jake. Win streaks all around. Field hockey has run 7 in a row, and volleyball has won 9 straight. No matter the sport, the Profs have been firing on all cylinders. A team that can start a win streak is Profs football. The team battled the William Patterson Pioneers on Saturday. Rowan hasn't lost to Willie P in their last 16 matchups. Did the Profs extend their reign of dominance over the Pioneers? Here's Skylar Sweeney with the latest.
I'm Skylar Sweeney, and it was a dominant homecoming performance here at Richard Wacker Stadium, where Rowan football rolled past William Patterson 45-16 in a key NJAC matchup. Running back Nunez Bukla was the star of the show, scoring 3 touchdowns, 2 through the air and 1 on the ground, while racking up 113 receiving yards on just 2 catches. Freshman Mordecai Ford added a historic moment with 94-yard touchdown run, the longest scoring play in team history. The Profs exploded for over 500 yards of total offense, with quarterbacks Nate Mayers and Matt Wellesley each tossing 50-yard-plus completions. Defensively, Jackson Ferrante led the way with 7 tackles, including a big third-down stop that helped set the tone early. From explosive plays to lockdown defense, Rowan put together one of its most complete games of the season. Once again, I'm Skylar Sweeney with All Access with the Profs, now sending it back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks for the report, Skylar. Now let's take a look at women's soccer. The Profs shocked the country, upsetting number 1 ranked Messiah last week 2-1. Rowan will look to carry that momentum into their matches this week. For the latest on women's soccer, here's Sydney Cella.
Thanks, Jake and Leo. I'm Sydney Cella here with All Access with the Profs. Last week, the Rowan women's soccer team took on the Stockton Ospreys and the Montclair State Redhawks. And while they might have shut out the Ospreys with a score of 5-0, the game on Saturday wasn't so easy. The Profs battled against the Redhawks. Sophomore Angela Oliveto started things off with her first goal coming at just 2 minutes and 22 seconds into the game, giving the Profs a 1-0 lead throughout the first half. In the second half, Montclair bounced back, scoring 2 goals. And while Oliveto posted yet another goal, it wasn't enough to win the game. The game ended with a 2-2 tie. The team is now 11-1-1 on the season, in addition to being 5-0-1 in conference play. The Profs are now ranked 11th in the nation, in addition to being 1st in the NJAC. They have a little over 1 week left in regular season play. From Rowan Soccer and Lacrosse Complex, I'm Sydney Cella, All Access with the Profs. Back to you.
Excellent analysis, Sydney. Now let's pivot over to field hockey, where the Profs have been absolutely scorching, winning their last 7 games. With NJAC play in full swing, it's nut up or shut up time as the Profs lock in with just a couple games to go. Let's see how they did. Here's Nick Wilson with more.
I'm Brett Gardner reporting from All Access with the Profs from Rowan Soccer and Lacrosse Complex. Rowan went up against 2 NJAC opponents, pulling out a victory against Stockton and a draw against Montclair State. On Wednesday, Rowan walked away with a 1-0 victory, a tough, gritty game against Stockton, where the only goal was scored by Rowan's Evan Schlotterbeck in the 87th minute to seal the close victory. On Saturday, Rowan welcomed 20th ranked Montclair State. Evan Schlotterbeck tied it up early in the first half, assisted by Christian McGillen. However, after trailing for the majority of the second half, Ryan Clearly tied it up late, and that was the score for the remainder of the game. After a win against Stockton and a draw against Montclair State on senior night, Rowan's men's soccer team's record is now 9-3-4 and 2-2-2 in the conference. I'm Brett Gardner, back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Brett. Looking over at the men's soccer team, the Profs are looking to bounce back after falling outside of the top 25 poll. Can Rowan get back into the win column? To find out, let's hear from Dylan Corsi.
Thanks, guys. Joe DiGiovanni reporting here from Richard Wacker Stadium. On Saturday, the men's and women's cross-country teams competed at the 10th Annual Border Battle at Dream Park in Logan Township. Both teams would have top 10 finishes, with the men's finishing 9th and the women's finishing 3rd. Carnegie Mellon University would go on to win both the men's 8K and women's 6K. Starting off with the women's 6K race, senior Gabriela Pagano finished 7th overall out of almost 300, leading the way for the Profs' 3rd place finish. Junior Shannon Stakelbeck finished next at 40th. For the men, graduate student Matthew Conaway placed 10th overall, carrying the Profs to 9th place. Junior Colin Patterson finished next at 24th. With a great showing at the border battle, tensions are high leading into November 1st, when the men's and women's cross-country teams will compete at the NJAC Championships at Stockton University. Both teams are looking to defend their crown and win their 4th straight championship. For All Access with the Profs, I'm Joe DiGiovanni. Back to you guys.
Nicely done, Joe. It's nice to see that the Profs were able to have some great runs this weekend. But Jake, I can confirm, we did not see any horses, and we did not see Gerasimos riding one either.
We unfortunately did not, Leo, but we will see Gerasimos and the rest of the debate team later on in the show. If anyone, and I mean anyone, were able to ride a horse, it would be Gerasimos. I'm not much of a betting man, but I'd be willing to wager a pretty penny that Gerasimos Gervasiliou would not only be able to learn, but master horseback riding within a month.
If I had to bet, I'd probably say Ian Harper. And he probably already rides horses. Once he told me he went to China, and I thought to myself, there's nothing this guy can't do.
Now, I do have a question here for Ian. Did he sail away to China in a little rowboat, or was it some other method of transportation? I think flying by plane is probably the way to go, but there's no way he could have taken a car, train, or bus to get there.
Well, I would have to say horseback, but what about the Magic School Bus?
Well, that's not an ordinary bus, hence the magic part of the name. I mean, speaking of magic, we'll also have Jacob Michaud and his Magic Minute later on in the show. But to find out how Ian traveled to China, and more importantly, on Rowan Sports, stick around for the rest of All Access with the Profs. We'll be right back after a few short messages.
I wonder if you know that I want the best for you. But how long will you fight solo? I wonder if you know that we can get help. Not wondering anymore. Love, your mind.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
Welcome back to All Access with the Profs. Now let's take a look at field hockey. Nick Wilson has more.
I'm Nick Wilson for All Access with the Profs, reporting from Richard Wacker Stadium. The 14th ranked Rowan field hockey team had 2 key NJAC matchups this week, one against TCNJ on Wednesday night and one against Kane on Friday night. On Wednesday night, the Profs battled back for a 4-3 shootout win over TCNJ in Ewing. Down 3-1 late, Aurelia McManus and Gracie Merrick scored back-to-back goals to tie it up before Sydney Kowalczyk and Mia Foti converted in the shootout. Goalie Mariah Giuliano sealed it with clutch saves to lift Rowan to the win. Then on Friday, the Profs dominated Kane, taking a 5-2 victory at home. Abby Goblish scored twice, her first goals of the season, while Mia Foti added 2 more and Sophia Weissler chipped in the 5th. Rowan's attack controlled the game from start to finish, with the defense holding strong against Kane's late push. With these 2 wins, the Profs extend their winning streak to 8 games, boosting their record in NJAC play to 4-0 and 12-3 overall. For All Access with the Profs, I'm Nick Wilson. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you, Nick. Great work as always. Now it's time for one of my favorite segments here on All Access with the Profs. Ian Harper will take you through the upcoming events on the Rowan Athletics calendar.
Thank you, Leo and Jake, as always, and it is real good to be back after my 1-episode hiatus. Once again, I am Ian Harper, and while I would love to talk about my China trip, it was unfortunately a plane that took us, by the way. I'm really here to take a look at everything Rowan Athletics has to offer. With that being said, this week's action has actually already started. Women's volleyball is currently taking on the Keene Cougars in a match that started at 7 p.m. tonight as they look to pick up their 19th win of the season. We take it on over now to tomorrow night with 3 games rearing and ready to go. Starting the evening off, we've got a women's soccer match against Keene right here at home. The 11th ranked Rowan team will look to continue their fantastic season beginning at 6 p.m. sharp. It's not just game day on Wednesday either, Profs fans. With Halloween right around the corner, why don't you head over to the soccer complex for the game and get yourself some free candy every single time the Profs score. And come on, I mean, who doesn't love some free candy? Now, briefly switching it on over to field hockey, the 14th ranked Profs squad faces off against William Patterson on the road at 7. And the night concludes with a 7:30 p.m. men's soccer game at Keene. There's just one game lined up for Thursday night as women's volleyball has their second game of the week. This time hosting the 9-13 Rutgers-Camden Scarlet Raptors at 7 o'clock. Nothing is on the schedule for Friday, and that might be a good thing as we have a loaded slate to get ready for on Saturday. Women's volleyball powers through the week with a face-off against the 15-7 Misericordia Cougars at noon, following that up with a 2 p.m. start time against Albright. Before that begins, however, we've got a 1 p.m. Profs football kickoff as they play host to the undefeated Salisbury Seagulls. It is also Fan Appreciation Day at Richard Wacker Stadium with a free exclusive magnetic Prof wallet case for the first 500 fans in attendance. Field hockey is back in action at 1 p.m. as well, heading to Christopher Newport to hopefully cap off another strong week. Working on back to 3 p.m. and while it might just be an exhibition, Rowan men's basketball will be out there for their first game time appearance of the season at Ryder. Women's soccer will look to finish the week on a high note, taking us into the evening with a 5 p.m. match here against Ramapo. As I mentioned earlier, there are a ton of exciting Prof games to watch out for this week. But I've kept you for long enough now, so why don't we kick tonight's show into a higher gear? Back on over to Studio 1, we've got Sam Prince and the debate crew.
Thanks, Ian. Welcome back to the debate segment. I'm your host, Sam Prince, and with alongside me today is Greg Mazzo, Keegan Thompson, and Gerasimus Trasolio. Last week, the Profs, well, we talked about who the Profs RB1 should be. We had a debate, but I think Gerasimus won that debate. Tyshawn Bookman was the answer. You got to read the book. You talked about it.
Thank you.
So, guys, we talked about Rowan football last week. Now let's talk about the number 14th ranked Rowan field hockey team. So, guys, what player can help the Profs back the promised land to a national championship for the first time since 2003?
I'm going to go with Sydney Kowalczyk, the freshman that's been outstanding so far to start this season for the Profs. She leads the team in goals, points, and shots on goal. She has been the best offensive player all around on the Rowan Profs. She has been absolutely terrific. She's on pace to have the most goals in a season for a Profs player since Julia Petrone in 2022. And she's been doing it against ranked opponents that field hockey played early on in the season. And she's my guy she's my person that I'm going with here.
Well, I will admit the freshman has filled in the gap amazingly, left behind by Ali Palumbo, who graduated last year. But for my money, I'm going to be taking Mariah Giuliano, the goalkeeper, the woman between the sticks, who's been keeping the Profs very heavily afloat this year. 10-3 in the games that she's played in. She's 3 out of 5 against the top 25 teams that we've played, including TCNJ, who we mentioned and heard earlier in the broadcast that she was able to win in shootouts with 3 saves. I rest my case.
You rest his case.
If you're going to make it far in the NCAA tournament, you're going to need a clutch gene. Mia Foti has that. It has more of that than any of these. Not to say that these aren't terrible picks. These are all great players. But Mia Foti, 9 goals on the season, second on the team in that regard, tied 4th in the NJAC. But you mentioned how Kowalczyk leads the team in shots on goal with 61. Well, guess what? With just 19 shots on goal, Mia Foti has 9 goals, and she has a 33 shot percentage. So she has by far been much better when she takes shots at the netting. Or at the cage, excuse me.
Well, let me tell you this real quick. Do you know the Profs are 9-1 when Kowalczyk scores a goal this season? They're 9-1. And we're now talking about Mia Foti. Don't get me wrong, she's great. But if you look back in the first half of the year, she wasn't really doing much compared to what Kowalczyk is doing. Kowalczyk has been doing this all season long. We started to talk about Foti near the second half of the season, which has been right now. So when I look at from start to finish, I think Kowalczyk has been much better than Foti.
Well, no.
So you mentioned something, a really good point, guys. Clutch factor and leadership. And know who that lines up to? Tess Herman, who's been a senior on this roster, who made it to the Final Four her freshman year start of 2022. She can't be the player to lead the Profs back to the promised land?
I think they needed a new piece, and I think Mia Foti's that piece, the sophomore, again. And I never got to my point about the clutch gene. In the NJAC Championship last year, 1-0 win over TCNJ. Who had the goal? Mia Foti had the goal to send them to make it so that they had 4 straight NJAC championships.
Who had a shot at that game? Oh, wait. It was Giuliano.
Well, that wouldn't matter if Mia Foti didn't get it. Well, here's the other thing. This season against Stockton on October the 8th, 4-4 game. Who wins the game? Who wins the game?
Who wins the game?
Mia Foti wins the game for the Rowan Profs.
Okay, well, against who?
The Stockton.
Against Stockton?
Yes.
Yeah, who was in net for that game? It would have been much worse if it wasn't Giuliano.
4 goals, though.
Can I tell you another thing with Mia Foti, too? Do you know when the Profs played 4 ranked teams to start the season, Mia Foti had 1 goal and 2 points?
Well, guess what? I guess against number 1 ranked Christopher Newport and number 4 ranked Salisbury in a week, excuse me, she's gonna show why she is the best, one of the best players or best contributors on this team. Mia Foti is gonna have goals in those games. She's gonna be clutch in those games. She had 2 goals against Kane. I could see her having 2 goals against Christopher Newport.
All right. What about the 2-0 shutout against number 18 Messiah? What about the 1 goal allowed against ranked number 22 sophomore?
It's impressive.
What about the shutout win, which it should never go to, or excuse me, shootout wins when it goes to against TCNJ number 21? She made 3 saves in the shootouts. Mia Foti's game winner isn't a game winner if she doesn't make those saves.
The defense isn't the problem, though. The defense, I am fine. The
offense isn't the problem either, clearly.
No. The offense
would you prefer to have a stalwart in the net, or would you prefer to have someone who can score goals on occasion?
I don't need to worry about the defense. We got to worry about the offense. And Mia Foti is the reason why.
Yeah, we don't need to worry about the defense because the best players in defense. Okay. The best players are in the defense. Tess Herman's a great player on defense.
We talk about
Mariah
defense win championships. We have that debate in sports.
That's an old adage for a reason, Sam.
But your defense has to do so much, and your offense has to pick up. And that's the argument I think you guys should really have.
What I'm trying to say here is that the field hockey defense has been phenomenal this year. But what they've needed is more of an attack. And I think that's why Mia Foti is going to be the X factor.
Well, we'll see if she is the X factor, and we'll see what prof is the X factor as the Profs go on to try to get their 5th straight NJAC title. But remember to scan the QR code to pick who won the debate and who you think will get the Profs back to the national championship for the first time since 2003. And we're gonna, if you want more Rowan field hockey talk, we're gonna send it down to Mason Kinahan for some more Take Talk. Take it away.
Thanks, Sam. I'm Mason Kinahan, and welcome back to Tape Talk, where I'll be breaking down the best plays from Rowan Athletics throughout the fall semester. Rowan Field Hockey is currently on an 8-game winning streak, including coming from behind to claim victory multiple times in the last few weeks. The Profs were ranked 14th in the country heading into this week, and they picked up 2 more big wins against TCNJ and Kane. Rowan was down against TCNJ with only 3 minutes to go. However, some clutch shot making from the Profs helped them secure a double overtime shootout victory. But how was Rowan able to quickly swing momentum in their favor? Let's dive into the tape and find out. All right, let's look at this first play here for Rowan. They're going to be down 3-1, just over 3 minutes to go in regulation. So the comeback has to start now for the Rowan Profs. Aurelia McManus is going to be here with the ball and is going to get a great shot attempt into the goal and cut this lead in half for TCNJ. But how is she going to do it? Well, she's going to get a lot of help from her teammates because look at the space between her and the goalkeeper fill up with congestion, right? We're going to have 6 different bodies between her and the goalkeeper. It's going to cut away the goalkeeper's vision, just like in hockey as well. The goalkeeper loses sight of the ball, and a great shot from McManus is able to find the back of the net and cut the lead to half for TCNJ. All right, at this point, only a minute to go now. Rowan's getting a lot of pressure on TCNJ. They just need 1 goal to send this game to overtime, and once it gets to overtime, anything can happen. So how is Rowan going to be able to tie this game? Well, it's going to be a great heads-up play from Gracie Merrick down near the net. Watch the shot attempt here from Tess Herman. It's going to get a very, very lucky bounce off of this TCNJ defender's left foot right here. And when I say this is a lucky bounce, it literally goes right into the stick of Gracie Merrick, who is going to be able to just tap this in and score the game-tying goal for the Profs, a huge, huge momentum shifter in this game. Even with 2 overtimes, we've still got more field hockey here. We go to a shootout, best of 5 between Rowan and TCNJ. Tess Herman is the first one up for the Profs. Her shot is just going to go just to the right. It was a good look she had on the goalkeeper. Good look at the net, just missed it just to the right. Round 2 for the Profs. It's Sydney Kowalczyk time for Rowan. Rowan down 1-0 here in the shootout, but they're going second, so they're going to have the final say. Well, Kowalczyk backs down the goalkeeper like she's a power forward in basketball. The goalkeeper hits the deck, and she's able to drill it. Some great goalkeeping from Mariah Giuliano keeps us a 1-1 tie here in the third round of the shootout, and this time Mia Foti just uses her speed to get past TCNJ's goalkeeper and give Rowan a lead. All right, let's jump to the fifth round of the shootout now. Mariah Giuliano's done a great job for Rowan so far, and with a stop, the Profs will pick up a victory. Giuliano does a great job of staying with the TCNJ attacker early on, but ultimately hits the deck and opens up a wide open window for the TCNJ attacker. But at the end of the day, sometimes you just need a little bit of luck. And the Profs get it here to pick up a crucial 4-3 double overtime shootout win against TCNJ. Rowan Field Hockey is a force to be reckoned with, and with only a couple NJAC regular season games to go, the Profs have their eyes set on the NJAC tournament, where they're looking to pick up their 5th straight NJAC championship this season. But that'll do it for me here on this week's segment of Tape Talk. Now let's send it over to Shane Alexa.
Thank you, Mason. Welcome back to Around the NJAC. I'm Shane Alexa, and today I will take you around the NJAC, informing you of what's happening across the conference in every sport. So, to start it off, let's look at football. The Profs currently reside in that 4th spot in the conference. Christopher, Newport, and Salisbury are tied for 1st. The Profs play Salisbury, who are ranked number 4 in the nation on Saturday at 1 o'clock. This game is by far the biggest of the year for Rowan. A win here could potentially slide them into the top 25. Now looking at field hockey. The Profs lead the NJAC with a 12-3 record, but have TCNJ on their tail. TCNJ plays Stockton this Wednesday, which could have major implications for the Profs if they find a way to win that game. The Profs will face off against William Patterson on that same Wednesday. Turning to women's soccer, Rowan leads the NJAC with an 11-1-1 overall record and a 5-0-1 conference in the conference. Montclair State trails them with a 9-0-5 overall record and a 4-0-2 NJAC record. Rowan and Montclair did tie earlier this week, as Brett mentioned earlier. The Profs will face off against Kane this Wednesday, while Montclair State will play Ramapo, who's 1-5 in the NJAC. Those matchups will have a big implication on the table this week. Turning to men's soccer, the Profs currently reside in 6th place with a 9-3-4 overall record and a 2-2-2 record in the NJAC. The Profs will play Kane this Wednesday as they need conference wins badly. Rutgers, Camden, and TCNJ both have 10 points compared to the Profs' 8, so those are 2 teams that the Profs will definitely want to be watching. Last but not least is volleyball. Stockton's Nicole Palmer was honored as the NJAC Player of the Week. Palmer's squad currently sits at that 5 spot, while the Profs lead the conference with a 4-0 record in the NJAC and an 18-4 record on the season. The Profs saw a lot of awards handed out to players this week, with Gabrielle Pagano of cross country, Mariah Giuliano and Sophia Weisler of field hockey, Greg Casimir and Mordecai Ford on football, Angela Oliveira of women's soccer, Ella Pennington of swimming, and Jessica Smart and Raven Albrecht of volleyball winning awards for their great play this week. But that will do it for today's segment of Around the NJAC. Once again, I'm Shane Alexa, and we'll see you next time. But for now, let's send it back to the dynamic duo in Leo and Jake.
Thank you, Shane. With the NJAC tournament coming up around the corner, that stuff is certainly going to be important to see how the rest of the conference shakes out. And Leo, I have to ask you, I mean, we've had a very entertaining show here today, but I want to hear your thoughts on the debate. Specifically, who do you think won and maybe what was going on? I mean, who do you think the X factor is for field hockey?
Well, I think everybody on the debate panel made a really good point, but I think Sam's point was the best. I mean, you can't win without a captain. And Tess Herman, she's been the engine room this entire season. Also, make sure you guys scan the QR code as well. That's very important, so we know who won. But yeah, I just think that the X factor's got to be the best player on the team, and that for me is Tess Herman. Although I thought everybody on the team is very valuable, and everybody made great.
I think the team is great, but to highlight a player, I think would be foolish, because without head coach Michelle Andre, that field hockey team, I mean, they'd be a club team without a head coach, right? So, I mean, but a team,
someone's going to get called an idiot next week.
I know that debate was getting heated,
yeah.
But a team that needs no debate is the women's volleyball team. They've won 9 straight matches. Can they make it into double digits? To find out, here's Luke Brown.
Thank you, guys. The longest win streak of the season is alive and well for the Rowan women's volleyball team, who beat NJAC heavyweight Montclair State in straight sets on Tuesday night before 2 more 3-0 wins against Lycoming and Elizabethtown on Saturday. The win over Montclair State was huge for the Profs, as outside hitters Jessica Smart and Abby Chadwick combined for 25 kills, while freshman setter Raven Albrecht did everything for Rowan, tallying 31 assists, 8 digs, and 4 service aces. The Profs are now 4-0 in NJAC play, which is first place, and 18-4 overall this season. For All Access with the Profs, I'm Luke Brown. Back to you guys in the studio.
Excellent stuff, Luke. And 10 games in a row with the win. I mean, that's just incredible stuff, Jake. You know, there's really some magic in the building, wouldn't you say?
Oh, I feel the magic in the air right about now, Leo. I certainly do.
Yeah, and it's time for Misho's Magic Minute. Take it away, Jacob.
Thank you very, very much, Leo. Welcome back to another week of my Magic Minute, which right now is so magical it's being covered up by this Rowan Prof right here. It's doing a little hidden trick, so we already got some magic here. But if we want to talk about a team that's been bringing the magic lately, it's got to be volleyball. They are an astounding 18-4 record on the season. They've won their last 10 matches with a whopping 8 of those being sweeps, none requiring a 5th set. One of their recent victories included a sweep against the powerful then 17-3 Montclair State Redhawks, with first place in the NJAC on the line. Now, the second set is a very crucial set in volleyball that can really swing the whole match. It's the difference between tying the match up at 1 or being up or down 2-0. In fact, every time the Profs have won the second set this year, they've gone on to win the match. That being said, let's take a look at a few of these absolutely magical team effort plays from the second set against Montclair State. So we got the first one right here, and we're rolling already. So you're going to take a look here. Sneaky soft touch, and Jenna Call just goes out and gets it, keeps it alive. And I don't know how they even kept that alive. And then this ended up being actually an illegal hit on Montclair State. Obviously not the cleanest setup for an attack for the Profs, but that just goes to show you that if you can keep the ball alive, anything can happen. And I actually want to go back real quick. We can rewind this. Something else I want to point out on this play. If you take a look right about here, right about there, the ball gets sent over, and Bradley actually comes in with the block. There is nobody in that area on the far side, and Kiara Bradley went in and got that block, and not only keeping the point alive, which would eventually lead to that legal hit on Montclair State. Let's move on to the next one. And you're going to see very similar things happening here as Montclair State will send it over. You'll see there, a great dig there by Cooper. And then here comes another great block here. And then you're going to see another sneaky soft touch. And what a team effort here to just go out and get it. Once again, nothing more important than keeping the ball alive. And then Ava Best finishing it off. Just another magical team effort play here by the Profs in the very pivotal second set. And then I've got one more for you. That's not all the magic. Here comes one more great play for you. It's Cooper on the serve. A very quick point here, as you'll see. Great blocks here. Jenna Call sends herself all the way to the scorer's table, but then comes back right away. Great awareness there by Call to go in and get that kill. So 3 fantastic plays in the all-pivotal second set to get the Profs that win against Montclair State and hold on to that #1 spot in the NJAC. So that'll be all for me this week. Let's hand the wand over now to Jake Clark and Leah West, who will close us out. Take it away, guys.
Thank you again, Jacob. The volleyball team has certainly been on a magic run now, as we pointed out, winning 10 matches straight. Their last loss came all the way back on September 20th. It's been over a month since the Rowan volleyball team has dropped a match. You know, Leo, the rest of the Profs could use some of that magic, as we are very, very close to NJAC tournament time.
Yeah, I would certainly hope so. I mean, I'd hope to see the soccer teams get more magic as we approach tourney time. Women's soccer, though, is playing with some magic right now. They haven't lost in their last 8 games. Also, football is going to have their hands full when number 4 Salisbury comes to town on Saturday.
That will be a game I've got circled on my calendar, no doubt. I do have a question for you, though, Leo. You've been known to be a self-proclaimed ornithologist or an expert on birds. So if Who Are You had to square up against Salisbury's mascot, Sammy Siegel, in an Oklahoma drill, which bird do you think would come out on top?
Well, Jake, if I were a betting man, I would probably throw my entire life savings on Sammy the Seagull. to get rocked by Who Are You? Because like we covered on last episode, Jake, Who Are You has superhuman speed and superhuman strength.
Now, I don't want to disagree with the expert here, but I feel as though Sammy Siegel would pose a fair fight. I mean, when you look at Sammy, not only does he look huge for a Siegel, but he looks as though he's got some wheels on him. With that being said, I'd still take Who Are You in that Oklahoma drill. However, I want to cut the talk about mascots and now focus on the boys on the gridiron. I think you're right, Leo. Rowan's got a tough matchup taking on a top 5 team in the country. But I predict that the Profs will not only put the NJAC, but the nation on notice in this game.
Yeah, I hope so. I know they can do it. They were this close to beating the Seagulls last year. But no matter the sport, the Profs can compete with the best if they aren't already the best. But that will do it for this episode of All Access with the Profs. I've been Leo West, joined alongside Jake Clark, and as always, go Profs!